The hotel room smelled faintly of bleach and reheated coffee. Claire Bennett sat on the edge of the bed with her laptop open, staring at a savings balance that had dropped by more than half in a single afternoon. A pipe had failed in the apartment above hers. Water had reached her ceiling, her closet, and the corner of her living room before anyone shut it off. Now she had temporary lodging, a list of damaged essentials, and several bills that could not wait. 10 months earlier, the same screen would have sent her reaching for a credit card. That night, at 52, Claire felt the old panic rise and then stop. The money was already there. Using it hurt, but she had not borrowed $1. If you like thoughtful stories about money and everyday choices, you can subscribe. Claire still had 2 months left, and the hardest part of her year had never been the shopping. The year had started with a sound from the front of her car. A dry scrape, then a shudder in the steering wheel as she slowed at a light on Colorado Boulevard. Claire turned down the radio and told herself it could wait until the weekend. By the next morning, the sound had become impossible to ignore. The repair shop called while she was at work. The brakes needed immediate attention, along with a worn part she had postponed, replacing the previous summer. The estimate was $1,740. Claire thanked the mechanic, ended the call, and opened her banking app under her desk. Her checking account held $612. Her savings account held $188. 3 credit cards carried balances, and one of them was close enough to its limit that she had begun avoiding the app entirely. From the hallway, Diane Foster, her 57-year-old manager, called her name and asked whether she could fix a vendor report before the afternoon meeting. Claire closed the banking screen and said yes before Diane finished the question. That was how Claire handled most discomfort. She said yes quickly, worked late, and bought something on the way home. A candle, if the day had been irritating. Shoes, if it had been humiliating. A handbag, if she felt overlooked. Nothing extravagant enough to explain the debt by itself. The damage came from frequency and from the story she told herself each time. She worked hard, she had earned it, and the next paycheck would put everything back in order. She paid the repair with the card that still had room. The transaction went through. Relief arrived first, then shame. That evening she stood in the closet of her Denver apartment looking for the box that held her winter boots. She found 4 unopened packages instead. 2 contained blouses she had forgotten ordering. 1 held a leather tote, still wrapped in tissue. The 4th was a set of storage boxes purchased to organize the things she kept buying. Claire sat on the floor between a row of shoes and a stack of shipping cartons. Her apartment looked polished from the living room. Pale sofa, glass coffee table, framed prints, clean counters. The closet told the truth. She had spent years purchasing evidence that her life was comfortable. She pulled a blank notebook from a drawer and wrote a heading on the first page. No by year. The rules took longer. Housing, utilities, groceries, medication, basic hygiene, transportation, and necessary repairs were allowed. She would keep paying every existing obligation. She could replace an essential item only if it could not be repaired or borrowed. No clothing, decor, cosmetics beyond basic replacements, books, accessories, convenience deliveries, or gifts purchased out of guilt. Meals with other people would come from a small amount planned at the start of each month, not from whatever room remained on a card. She wrote one final rule beneath the others. Every time I want to buy something, I write down what happened first. The next morning, Claire deleted shopping apps from her phone. She removed saved card numbers from online stores and unsubscribed from promotional messages. The work was simple and strangely physical. Each deletion produced a small tightening in her chest, as if she were locking doors she might need later. At lunch, Vanessa Cole called. Vanessa was 46, always carefully dressed and good at locating the newest restaurant before anyone else knew it had opened. "Thursday," Vanessa said. "I got us a reservation at Lark. You have to come." Claire looked at the rules in her notebook. "I can't do Lark this month." "You're busy?" "I'm doing a no-buy year." There was a pause, followed by a bright laugh. "A week, you mean?" "A year." "Claire, you're not moving into the woods." "I know." Vanessa lowered her voice as if Claire had disclosed something embarrassing. "Are things bad?" Claire almost gave the answer she had trained herself to give. "Everything is fine." Instead, she said, "They're not good enough for me to keep pretending." Vanessa changed the subject. Claire let her. The first week was easier than expected because the decision still felt new. Claire packed lunches, made coffee at home, and used groceries already in her cupboards. She found 3 nearly identical bottles of olive oil, 6 boxes of tea, and enough pasta for weeks. Preparing food from what she owned felt like solving a quiet puzzle. The second week was harder. Diane added 2 urgent tasks to Claire's schedule, then praised another employee during a meeting for a process Claire had designed. Claire smiled through the discussion. At 6:40 that evening, she sat alone at her desk with an unfinished report and reached for her phone. Her usual store app was gone. She opened the notebook instead, wanted black ankle boots. What happened first? Diane credited someone else for my work. What I expected the purchase to do, make me feel sharp, successful, and less invisible tomorrow. She stared at the last sentence. The boots in her closet had not made Diane respect her. Another pair would not do it either. Claire closed the notebook, finished the report, and went home angry. That mattered. She had spent so much time converting anger into transactions that feeling it without an escape seemed almost improper. The entries accumulated. A linen jacket after Vanessa posted photographs from Lark, a lamp after a lonely Sunday afternoon, expensive skincare after a tense performance review, a delivery meal after Claire agreed to complete work that should have belonged to someone else. By February, the notebook mattered more than her budget. It showed where money went and why. If that feels familiar, you can share your pattern in the comments. Claire listed her monthly income at the top of a spreadsheet, then every obligation beneath it: rent, utilities, insurance, transportation, minimum card payments, groceries, phone, subscriptions she barely used. When she included annual expenses divided across 12 months, the comfortable margin she imagined having disappeared. For the previous 6 months, her discretionary spending had averaged more than $700. Some months were much higher. She cancelled services she had forgotten, set a grocery plan, and chose an amount for necessary personal spending rather than declaring that every ordinary comfort was forbidden. Most of the money freed by the no-buy rules went toward the highest cost card. A smaller, steady portion went into a separate emergency account. She did not call the plan a punishment. She called it a way to make the next decision easier. For nights, Claire woke before dawn and calculated how long it would take to undo the card charge. The answer changed depending on which expenses she admitted were real. She had always built budgets for an ideal version of herself, a woman who never needed takeout, never forgot an annual bill, and never felt too tired to cook. When reality failed to match the plan, Claire blamed herself and stopped tracking altogether. Now she gave the plan room for ordinary life. She included a modest amount for coffee with Rachel, occasional meals with other people, and replacement of basic items when they ran out. The no-buy year would remove automatic shopping, not food, health, safety, or every form of pleasure. If the rules required her to lie about what she needed, they would be no better than the spending habits she was trying to change. Rachel Bennett, Claire's 39-year-old sister, heard about the challenge near the end of February. They had not argued or fallen out. Their relationship had thinned through postponement. Claire was always working, tired, or committed to a dinner she could not afford. Rachel had stopped asking as often. "So, what do you do for fun?" Rachel asked over the phone. Claire looked around her quiet apartment. I'm still working that out. Walk with me Saturday. Where? Outside. It remains free. They met at a park after breakfast. The morning was cold and bright, and Claire arrived in a coat she had owned for 9 years. Rachel brought coffee in a metal flask and 2 cups. They walked without a destination, talking first about work, then about the no-buy notebook. Rachel did not congratulate her for being disciplined. She asked what Claire had written after the bad performance review. Claire hesitated. That I wanted to buy a face that looked less tired. Rachel stopped walking. You know you're allowed to be tired, right? The question landed harder than sympathy would have. Their walks became a Saturday habit. Some weeks they made soup at Rachel's apartment afterward. Other weeks they sat at Claire's kitchen table with coffee and talked until the light changed. Rachel did not treat the no-buy year as a stunt or a crisis. She treated it as a fact about Claire's life, the way a good friend might respect a food allergy or an early work schedule. In March, Claire began clearing the closet. She photographed unworn items and listed them for sale. She expected the process to feel profitable. Instead, it became an education in how quickly desire lost value. The leather tote that had cost $380 sold for $95. A jacket with its tags attached sold for less than 1/3 of its original price. Some shoes did not sell at all. Claire lowered prices, answered messages, arranged pickups, and watched expensive decisions leave her apartment in reusable grocery bags. She kept a record of the original cost beside the selling price. Not to shame herself, but to remove the fantasy that unused possessions were a form of savings. They were objects. Their value depended on whether they served her life, not on what she had once paid. The sale money went into the emergency account. By the end of the month, the balance crossed $1,000. Claire took a screenshot, then stopped herself from posting it. She did not need Vanessa, her co-workers, or anyone else to admire the number. The money had a job even if nobody saw it. Vanessa remained interested in the challenge, mainly as a source of jokes. She sent photographs of shoes with captions such as, "Checking if you've recovered." When Claire declined a weekend shopping trip, Vanessa offered to buy lunch, then added, "You can get me next time when this phase is over." Claire suggested coffee at her apartment instead. Vanessa was unavailable. The strain became obvious in May when Vanessa planned a birthday dinner at a restaurant where the fixed menu cost more than Claire's entire social budget for the month. Claire called her rather than sending a message. "I want to celebrate with you," she said. "Could I take you to breakfast that weekend, just us?" Vanessa sighed. "Everyone else is making it work." "I'm not asking you to change your dinner." "It puts me in an awkward position, Claire. People are going to ask where you are. You can tell them the truth, that my closest friend can't buy dinner." Claire felt heat rise into her face. "That I chose not to spend that amount." Vanessa was silent for a moment. "You've become very rigid." Claire nearly apologized. The word was already at the back of her throat. Then she remembered how many times she had bought Vanessa gifts after small disagreements, as if a wrapped box could restore the balance between them. "Breakfast is still an offer," Claire said. "You can decide whether you want it." Vanessa did not accept. The following Monday, photographs appeared online. Claire recognized several people she knew at a second gathering in Vanessa's apartment, held the night after the restaurant dinner. She had not been invited to that one either. The exclusion hurt in a plain, undignified way. Claire spent the evening moving between anger and self-doubt. She opened a retailer's website on her laptop and filled a cart with clothing she imagined wearing to some future event where nobody could dismiss her. At checkout, there were no saved card details. She would have to stand, retrieve her wallet, and type the numbers. That small inconvenience gave her enough time to ask what the clothes were supposed to repair. Claire closed the browser. She called Rachel, who was 39, and said, "I don't need advice. I just don't want to sit here alone." "Come over," Rachel said. "I have too much pasta." They ate at the kitchen counter. Claire told the story without making Vanessa crueler than she had been. Rachel listened and finally said, "Maybe the friendship worked as long as you kept paying the admission price." Claire looked down at her plate. "I thought she liked me." "She probably did. That doesn't mean the friendship was good for you." There was no clean break, no final confrontation. Vanessa stopped calling as often. Claire stopped offering alternatives to every expensive plan. The distance grew because Claire no longer spent money to close it. By early summer, the no-buy year had become less visible from the outside. Claire repeated meals, repaired a loose hem, borrowed a drill from a neighbor, and waited before replacing anything. The dramatic part was over. What remained was practice. One evening in the building's shared room, Claire was reviewing her spreadsheet when a woman from the 6th floor asked what she was doing. Claire explained the basic system: monthly income at the top, fixed obligations next, flexible spending after that, and a separate line for expenses that did not happen every month. The woman asked if Claire would show her how to set up something similar. The next week, 2 more residents joined them. Everyone in the room was an adult woman between 38 and 67. Claire began each meeting by saying she was not an advisor and would not tell anyone what to do with a specific account. She could help them organize information, ask better questions, and build a plan they understood. The distinction mattered to her. She had no desire to become another confident voice, promising that one spreadsheet could solve every life. One resident had irregular income. Another was supporting an adult relative. A third had predictable earnings, but no idea how much her annual bills cost. Their plans needed different shapes. Claire showed them the method she used on herself. Write down what comes in. Write down what must go out. Include bills that arrive only once or twice a year. Track what actually happened, not what should have happened. Then adjust the next month without turning one bad week into a moral failure. The meetings changed Claire's understanding of competence. At work, she was known as the person who could untangle a messy process after everyone else had stopped paying attention. In the building, the same skill helped people replace dread with information. She had treated that ability as ordinary because it came naturally to her. Diane had treated it as unlimited because Claire had never defined its value. In July, Diane appeared beside Claire's desk, holding a folder. "I need you to take over the Westline account," she said, "just until they stabilize." Claire already managed 2 accounts and the weekly vendor reconciliation. Which current responsibility should move? Diane frowned. "Nothing needs to move. Westline is temporary." "How temporary?" "A few weeks." Claire had heard the phrase before. Temporary work tended to stay with the person who performed it without protest. "I can start Westline today," Claire said, "but the vendor review will be late, or the monthly account report will need another owner. Which one do you want me to pause?" Diane looked surprised, not angry. That almost made the conversation harder. Claire had expected conflict. Instead, she saw how thoroughly everyone had accepted her automatic yes. "Let me think about it," Diane said. 10 minutes later, Westline went to another coordinator whose schedule had room. Claire sat at her desk waiting for guilt. It arrived, but it did not stay long. Over the next month, she documented every recurring task she handled, how long it took, what problem it prevented, and which requests had been added without removing anything else. The document was not a complaint. It was a map of work that had remained invisible because Claire kept completing it. She also returned to a proposal Diane had dismissed in the spring. Claire reduced it from a company-wide change to a 90-day test involving one vendor process. She estimated the hours required, defined the measure of success, and stated what she would stop doing during the test. Diane read the new version twice. "You've put boundaries around everything. I put requirements around it. That's not how you usually work." Claire kept her voice steady. "The way I usually work depends on me absorbing whatever the process fails to handle. That makes the process look better than it is." Diane leaned back. "Are you planning to leave?" The question would once have frightened Claire into reassurance. She had debt, little savings, and no safe answer. Now she had reduced one card balance, built a reserve, and learned the exact monthly cost of her life. She was not ready to leave, and she did not want to, but the possibility no longer felt imaginary. "No," Claire said. "I want to stay. I also want the job to be sustainable." Diane approved the pilot. The outcome was not a sudden promotion or a speech at a company meeting. It was quieter. The test reduced repeated corrections. Diane included Claire's name when reporting the result. 2 recurring tasks were reassigned, and new requests came with a conversation about timing rather than an assumption that Claire would make room. Some weeks were still busy. Some decisions were still short-sighted. Claire had not repaired the entire company. She had changed the terms under which she participated in it. In August, the emergency account reached a balance that would once have seemed impossible. Claire checked it less often than she had checked delivery notifications. That surprised her. The money created calm precisely because it did not demand attention. Her credit card balances were falling, though not in a perfect line. A higher utility bill slowed one month. A necessary medical expense reduced the extra payment in another. Claire adjusted, without declaring the plan broken. She had spent years treating every setback as permission to give up until the next payday. Now a setback was information. Rachel came over one Friday with a plain, hardbound notebook. Claire was still using the original no-buy notebook, its pages crowded with spending urges, account totals, meal plans, and fragments of anger. "For next year," Rachel said. Claire turned the new notebook over in her hands. "I'm not doing this again." "I know. That one can be for whatever comes after." Claire placed it unopened in the drawer beside her bed. The pipe failed in October. Claire was at work when her phone rang. Building management had entered her apartment after water appeared in the unit below. By the time she arrived, a maintenance crew had opened part of the ceiling. Water had soaked one wall of the closet, damaged bedding, and reached an electrical outlet. She could not stay there until the area was dry and safe. Earlier that year, Claire would have simply rushed to book the nearest hotel, replace everything immediately, use the card, and postpone thinking until the statement arrived. She was still frightened now, but she moved in order. She asked what building management would cover and requested the answer in writing. She listed what had been damaged. She packed what she needed for several days. She compared 2 reasonable lodging options. She paid the immediate costs from the emergency account and kept every receipt. None of that made the experience pleasant. Her apartment smelled damp. Her routines disappeared. She spent evenings in a hotel room eating food from a grocery store because restaurant delivery would have been easy to justify every night. She was tired and angry, and the savings balance kept dropping. On the 3rd evening, Claire opened the account and felt sick. Months of deposits had vanished in days. The number looked too close to where she had begun. She called Rachel and said, "I ruined it." Rachel asked what she meant. "The reserve. Most of it is gone." "What did you use it for?" "A place to stay, things I actually needed, costs from the apartment." "Did you add anything to the cards?" Claire looked at the cards in her wallet. "No." "Then you didn't ruin it." Claire wanted to argue. Savings felt like proof only when the balance moved upward. Rachel continued, "You set money aside for an expense you couldn't plan." Then an expense you couldn't plan showed up. Claire sat back against the hotel headboard. An emergency reserve was not a trophy. It was cash kept available for bills outside the normal month. A car repair, a medical cost, a problem at home, a sudden interruption in income. Without it, one difficult event could become a credit balance that lasted much longer than the event itself. Using the reserve did not erase the habit that built it. Claire could begin restoring it with the next paycheck. For the first time since the pipe failed, she understood the difference between losing money and using money. The balance was lower, but the plan had held. The repairs took 9 days. When Claire returned, the apartment was dry, the damaged section repainted, and the closet contents stacked across the bedroom. She went through each item before putting anything back. Some things were ruined. Others had survived but no longer seemed worth the space they occupied. Claire kept what she used, donated what remained useful, and discarded what could not be saved. The closet emerged half full. That Saturday, she and Rachel sat on the floor eating sandwiches they had made in the kitchen. Claire looked at the open closet doors. "I used to think a full closet meant I had options," she said. Rachel glanced inside. "Did it?" "Mostly it meant I couldn't find anything." They laughed, and Claire noticed that the room did not feel empty. It felt easy to maintain. November brought the first advertisements telling her that the year's best prices were about to disappear. Claire deleted most of them without opening. She was not immune to wanting things. She had simply become better at identifying when the desire belonged to the object and when it belonged to something else. When she wanted a new coat, after seeing Vanessa in a photograph, Claire tried on the coat she already owned and asked whether it was warm, comfortable, and in good condition. It was. The urge passed. When she wanted an expensive organizer after a difficult day, she wrote down the actual problem. Diane had changed a deadline without warning. The following morning, Claire asked for the schedule change in writing and adjusted the project plan. The organizer would have made a drawer look better. It would not have corrected the deadline. When she wanted to order dinner because she felt lonely, she called Rachel, now 40, and invited her over. Rachel brought bread, Claire made soup. Neither of them treated the evening as a substitute for something more glamorous. The resident meetings continued once a month. Claire kept them small and practical. She did not inspect anyone's accounts or promise results. She helped the group prepare questions, list irregular expenses, and create systems they could maintain. The satisfaction was different from being praised at work. It was specific and shared. Nobody needed Claire to rescue the room. At the office, the pilot became a regular process. Diane remained Diane, direct, impatient, and occasionally too comfortable with Claire's competence. But when she brought an urgent request in December, she also brought a list of tasks that could move. "I'm learning," Diane said. "So am I," Claire replied. During Claire's annual review, Diane acknowledged that Claire's documentation had exposed a workload problem the team had ignored. The recognition came without a dramatic reward. Claire received a modest raise and a written scope for the coming year. More important, her work no longer depended on being available for every problem at once. Claire chose to remain. The decision felt different from staying because she could not afford to imagine leaving. She knew the cost of her life. She had reduced her debt. She had proof that she could build savings again. If the job became untenable, she could plan a change without pretending that one brave afternoon would solve everything. Her apartment lease ended in January. For years, Claire had renewed it automatically because the building matched the picture she wanted other people to see. The high windows, stone counters, and large closet had seemed like evidence that she was doing well. This time, she compared the rent with the way she actually used the space. She toured a smaller apartment several blocks away. It had older cabinets, good light, a reliable building manager, and enough room for the furniture she used. The monthly difference would allow her to restore the emergency reserve faster and increase her debt payments without turning every grocery purchase into a calculation. She signed the new lease after reviewing the full cost of moving. Downsizing was not a punishment for past mistakes. It was a trade, less space in exchange for more room in her finances. By the final week of the no-buy year, Claire had paid down a substantial part of her card debt. The balance was not zero, and the emergency account had not fully recovered. Those facts did not diminish the year. She could open every statement without fear. She knew which payment would leave her account and when. She knew what her ordinary life cost. She no longer needed a perfect month to continue. Vanessa sent a message 2 days before the year ended. "Are you finally shopping again?" Claire considered several answers. She could explain the debt reduction, the apartment, the reserve, the changes at work, the meetings downstairs, and the Saturday walks. She could make the year sound impressive enough to win Vanessa's respect. Instead, she wrote, "I'll be buying things when I need them." Vanessa responded with a laughing symbol. Claire put down the phone. On the last evening, at 53, Claire went to a department store after work. She did not need anything. That was the point. For months, she had imagined the day the restriction ended. She expected freedom. The store was warm and bright. Music played softly above rows of winter clothing. Claire moved through handbags, shoes, cosmetics, and home goods. She picked up a ceramic bowl, admired its blue glaze, and returned it to the shelf. She tried on a jacket and noticed that she was evaluating the person in the mirror more than the jacket itself. The person looking back at her had the same face, the same body, and many of the same problems she had carried into the store a year earlier. Work could still be tiring. The debt still required time. Vanessa's absence still hurt on certain days. A purchase would not make those facts disappear. Claire left without buying anything. At home, most of her belongings were packed for the move. The rooms looked plain, but no longer like a stage after the audience had gone. They looked ready. She opened the bedside drawer and removed the hardbound notebook Rachel had given her. On the first page, Claire wrote the date. Beneath it, she wrote one sentence. "I thought I was learning how to live without buying things. I was really learning how not to abandon myself." She read it once, closed the notebook, and called Rachel. Claire had started the year because she wanted to save money. She finished it with less debt, a rebuilding reserve, a smaller apartment, a steadier relationship with her sister, and a job she had chosen to keep on clearer terms. None of those changes came from deprivation alone. They came from noticing what she had been asking money to do, then finding a more honest way to meet the need. Thank you for staying with Claire's story. If you'd like more stories about money and ordinary decisions, you can subscribe to the channel. There's another video on the screen now about improving your finances without losing sight of the life you're trying to build.